Chapter 9 review. We'll start with some keywords, filling in the blanks. The opposite of integer positive 2 is integer negative 2. In a zero pair of integer chips, one chip equals positive 1, and the other chip equals negative 1. Exploring integer addition from section 9.1. Question number 3. Write the addition statement for each diagram. Alright, so I'm seeing 7 positive chips and 4 negative chips, which means we've actually got a slight typo here. This should be plus 7. And then we've got, adding to that, a negative 4. And if you do that, these all become zero pairs and are removed, leaving you with positive 3. On this one, we've got 8 negative chips. And to that, we're adding 5 positive chips. Once again, we create some zero pairs that are removed, and that leaves us with an answer of negative 3. Add using integer chips. Well, to do that, let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. And then we're adding in 1, 2, 3 more negatives, which clearly means that we have 8 negatives. For question B, 4 positive chips and 4 negative chips. When we add that all together, these all become zero pairs and are removed, which means we're left with 0. A pelican was flying 4 meters above the ocean. The pelican dove 6 meters down and caught a fish. Write the addition statement and solve. So we begin with pelican flying at 4 meters. Now it dove down 6 meters. So down 6 is a negative 6 meters. So that means when you add those together, positive 4 plus negative 6, our answer is negative 2 meters. So the pelican dove 2 meters below the water to catch the fish. Next up, 9.2, adding integers. Question 6, write the addition statement for each number line. So we start at 0, and the first arrow goes to negative 4, so that is this one right here. The second arrow travels, let's see, how do I want to do this? From here, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. And that lands us on right there at -9. So -4 plus -5 equals -9. So the first arrow is -4. The second arrow is -5. Next up, we start at 0, so this is our first arrow. This is our second arrow. First arrow is +6. And then to that we're adding -1, 2, 3 leaps. So -3. And that means we're landing right here, which means our answer is +3. All right, number 7, add using a number line. So I'm going to fill in the numbers here first, I think. So -1, -2, and keep going. Here we go, +5, almost done. All right, so now -3 is our first number, so we start here on -3, and then we adding 3. So 1, 2, 3, and we land right there on 0. Part B, we start at +7 right here, and now we're adding -2. So 1, 2, we're landing on +5. Part C, -4. So we go to -4, that's our starting point, and we're adding 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're ending right here on +8. And then lastly, we start at +6 right here, and we're adding -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're landing on -2. So those are your answers for number 7. All right, Death Valley, California is 86 meters below sea level. So that's -86 meters. Sea level is this dotted line, that's 0 meters. And then New Orleans, Louisiana is 84 meters higher than Death Valley. So we're being told that this distance right here is 84 meters. What is the elevation of New Orleans? So drawing the picture like this and seeing the measurements are probably pretty useful. We are starting at -86 meters for Death Valley. And we're adding 84 meters to that, because that's the distance between Death Valley here and New Orleans here. That's the 84. So we're starting at -86 and we're adding 84 to figure out what New Orleans is. So that's the equation or the expression I've set up here so far. Once we solve that, -86 plus 84, we're going to end up with -2 meters. So the elevation of New Orleans is 2 meters below sea level, which is exactly why during the hurricane there was massive flooding and damage, because they're actually below the sea level there. 9.3, exploring integer subtraction. Number 9, write subtraction statements for each set of diagrams. All right, so right here we've got 7 negatives. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we've added 2 0 pairs. So I think that means we're starting with -7. And we've added 2 0 pairs here. We've added those, so the arrow goes into it. And then we're removing 2 positives. So we're subtracting, or the adding of the 0 pairs does not change the overall value of the original situation. So this situation has the same value as this situation. So then we're removing 2 positives. So down here in the subtraction statement, that means we're subtracting +2. And then when you look at it, that means you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 negatives. And if you look at the equation, -7 subtracting +2 is the same as adding -2. -7 and -2 is equal to -9. So that's what's going on here in this diagram. This describes it, and this is a way to solve it without using the chips. All right, part B. So we're starting with -4. Then from this step to this step, it looks like we've added some more 0 pairs. So we've added some 0 pairs, which tells me that I'm guessing we're subtracting something. And sure enough, if you take a look here, we are subtracting something. But in this case, we're actually subtracting, so we've added 6 0 pairs, and we're subtracting 10 negatives. That's what we've done here, is we've subtracted all of the negatives. We had 4 to start with. We added 6 more 0 pairs, so there's 6 negatives and 6 positives for a total of 10 negatives, and we've taken those out, which then leaves us with these positive chips right here, which means we're left with +6, which is exactly what I'm seeing here. So this equation here describes that. Because it's subtraction, we can rewrite it as adding the opposite. So adding instead of subtracting, the opposite of -10 is +10. And then you'll see if you start on a number line at -4 and you're adding 10, so you're just moving to the right on the number line, you'll end up at +6. So these two equations have the same result. Second one is just adding the opposite, but the first one describes the situation above. Number 10, subtract using integer chips. All right. I've got 7 negative chips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got a little extra blip in there. 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm taking away 5 negative chips. So I'm taking 5 away. Do it this way. Which leaves us with 2. So that means our answer is -2. Part B, we've got 4 positive chips. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're subtracting 3 negatives. Well, I don't have any negatives to take away. So if I'm taking 3 of them away, that means I need to add in 3 0 pairs. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I've added in 3 zero pairs, doesn't change the value, but now I can actually remove 3 negatives. And I do that by pulling those out, and what's left is 7 positive chips. So my answer is positive 7. Next up, I have 3 positive chips to start with, and then I'm having to take 8 away. Well, I've only got 3, so I'm short 5. So in that case, I'm going to add 5 zero pairs. And so I've added 5 negatives. I'm going to add 5 positives to go with that. And so now, this still has the same value as the positive 3 because all I've done is add 0 pairs. These 5 match these 5. But now I have a total of 8 here that I can take away. So I can remove these. And then that leaves me with my 5 negative chips. So my answer is negative 5. All right, so I've got 1 negative chip, and I'm subtracting 6 positive chips. Well, I don't have 6 positive chips. So in order to do that, I need to add 6 zero pairs. Doesn't change the value of anything because all the 0 pairs equal is 0. So this is still equal to negative 1. But now I can remove 6 positives. They can leave. And what's left behind is 7 negative chips. So that's my answer, negative 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So that's question 10. Question 11. Quaid owes the store $7. Heidi owes the store $3. How much more does Quaid owe than Heidi? Write a subtraction statement. Well, he owes $7. She owes $3. How much more does he owe? Well, we're comparing the two, so we can do a subtraction. So I've got negative 7 minus negative 3. Well, I don't like doing it that way. I don't want to do a subtraction. I want to add the opposite. So I'm going to do negative 7 plus, add the opposite, so that's positive 3. And that equals negative 4. So in that case, Quaid owes $4 more than Heidi does. So we can set it up as a subtraction because we're comparing the two numbers, trying to find out what the difference is. But then in order to solve it, we know that we can add the opposite. (9.4) Subtract integers. Fill in the blanks by adding the opposites. All right, so positive 4 minus positive 7. We're going to switch it to adding. Opposite of positive 7 is negative 7. It says to fill in the blanks. It's not asking us to solve, but I'll just quickly throw down an answer there for you as well. Negative 3. Negative 6, subtract negative 4. That becomes adding positive 4, which in this case gives us an answer of negative 2. Positive 3 plus positive 2. Well, 3 plus 2 we know is 5. Negative 7, change it to adding. Positive 8, we're going to do the opposite, which is negative 8. Negative 7 plus negative 8 is negative 15. All right, number 13, subtract. Well, we do that by adding the opposite. So I'm going to add negative 8 in this case and solve. Positive 5 plus negative 8 gives me a final answer of negative 3. negative 4 plus the opposite, which is positive 6. Negative 4 plus positive 6 gives me an answer of positive 2. Negative 2 plus negative 7 is equal to negative 9. Positive 4 plus positive 9 is equal to positive 13. Number 14, Mount Everest is 8848 meters above sea level. The Dead Sea is 411 meters below sea level. What is the difference between the two? Show your work. So as the cloud bubble says here, we're using positive 8,848 meters for Everest and negative 411 meters for Dead Sea. Because 0 is considered sea level. So if it's below, it's negative. If it's above, it's positive. So we're simply going to take 8848, which is positive. Sorry, I shouldn't be doing that on the line here. We're taking positive 8848, and we're going to subtract negative 411 from that. We can rewrite that is 8848, adding the opposite, like that. And then that will give us an answer of positive 9,259 meters. There are 9,259 meters separating the Dead Sea from the top of Mount Everest. All right, section 9.5, applying integer operations. Question 15, complete the pattern. 3 plus 9 plus 15 plus 21. Okay, so it looks like in this direction we are adding 6 each time. So that means to go from 21, we're going to go to plus 27, plus 33, plus 39. Now in this case, to go from plus 40 to plus 30, and then down to 20, and then 10, we are subtracting 10 each time. So 10 minus 10 is 0. Then we go to minus 10 and minus 20. So we could say that this is either adding negative 10 or subtracting positive 10. Likewise over here we could say that we're adding positive 6 or we're subtracting negative 6. Those have the same meaning. Those are equal, as are these. They have the same net effect. Number 16, use the table to answer the questions. Par for a round of golf is 72. What did Mike Weir score in round 1? So in round 1, number of strokes above or below par. So in round 1, it was negative 2. So that means 72 plus negative 2, which in this case is positive 70. So he scored 70 in round 1. What is the difference between round 2 and round 3? Well, round 2 was negative 4. Round 3 is positive 3. We can take the negative 4 and subtract 3, positive 3, which is the same as negative 4 plus negative 3, which is equal to negative 7. So the difference between rounds 2 and 3 is 7 shots. Sorry, 7 strokes. And round 3 was higher.